Hey guys, it's the Unsmooth Criminal here, and I'm back with part 3 of What If Femdeku was Azure from Azure's Wrath. And where we left off was the birthday scene. And, no, the bakery. They just got back from the bakery. I remember correctly, the birthday scene, it's not in this one, it's for a different one. Or is it? No, it is this one. Well, after the bakery part, we go to I think it's first day of school I have it done. Hold on. So it is the first day of school. On the first day of school. Nah, I'm just gonna skip the first day of school because this first day of school is boring. On the heroes versus villains, Mineta is obviously expelled. Duh. Now Yama's not there. He's replaced with Tetsu Tetsu. So on the heroes versus villains, they have Todoroki and Tetsu Tetsu and Kirishima versus Azure and Bakugo. So they go, and it's not the normal you have to defuse the bomb. No, it's a hostage situation for this heroes versus villains training. And Tetsu Tetsu and Kirishima's goal is to get out of the building without being captured. And the hero's goal is to capture the villain without hurting the hostages. And the hostage is All Might. But they just know him as Toshinori Yagi because he transformed into Toshinori Yagi. So I walks out saying, I'm going to be your proctor for this exam, and this is going to be the heroes versus villains exam. And they go, okay, so what is it exactly? And he goes, I shall be your hostage. I will grade you on the treatment of your hostage, the negotiation between the heroes and the villains, and the execution of the plans for the heroes and the villains. And he shows the two earpieces and he says, my left ear will be having the heroes in it, my right ear will be having the villains in it. So I can still understand the villains, I can hear on their chatter, and I can hear the heroes chatter on my left side. So, let's get started. And Azure's like, okay, so who do you want to be heroes and villains? And he goes, Bakugo Katsuki and Azure, you are villains. And Azure puts all her hands forward and starts cracking all of her knuckles. And everybody gets scared at this except Shoji being like, oh god. And she puts on a scary face, being like, this is going to be fun. But she really just doesn't want to hurt them, so she's not going to be using very much strength. So. It's been roughly a month since school started, so All Might and Aizawa have already trained them in using their quirks and improving their quirks more. And Azura went from being able to match All Might within one arm to matching All Might within one punch. One punch on a wall immediately gains her to the full power of All Might. And it hurts her to hold back. Like if someone hit you with a metal bat to the gut, times that by 20, and that's the pain that she feels when she holds back. So she walks up to Toshinori and says, I suggest you put Bakugo on the enemy team because he's been training with me since we were little, so he has the most resilience to my quirk. And he goes, nope. Bakugo and Azura are the villains team, while Tetsu and Kirishima are the hero team. And Tetsu Kirishima fist bump, and they go, yeah! And Tetsu hardens, and he slams his fists together. Kirishima does the same, but he does is his fist to fist instead of hand to fist, like Tetsu did. And they're currently getting a plan together to storm the building. And Azure's like, and she looks at Bakugo and says, I have an idea. And he goes, what is it? And she explains the idea, and he goes, oh my god. If you were not going to be a hero, I'd be scared of you. And she goes, pish posh. He goes, oh my god, you're so just laid back about this plan, aren't you? She goes, yeah. It just seems like a normal plan. He goes, yeah, it is a normal plan. And she uses the phone that she had to contact the police phone that they borrowed. Now Masa's currently overwatching this to help make sure All Might's cover stays as his cover and to make sure no one gets hurt. And he picks up the phone saying, I am the police chief at this scene. What may I help you with? And she says her demands, and he goes, okay. He looks at the heroes in training, and he motioned them to come here, and he puts her on speaker and says, can you please repeat your demands so I can have my scribe put it down for you and see if we can get it done? And she goes, sure. And she says her demands again, and Kirishima hears all these demands, and it seems like he's heard all these demands before. And now Masa's thinking in his head, oh my god, she's reenacting the scene. And everybody's like, where have we heard those demands before? And everybody's racking their brains trying to figure it out. And Shoji's like, no. And he takes the phone, stop reenacting that, and gives it back, going, oh my god, she's going to get us all killed. And all you hear on the other side of the phone is laughter. Evil, maniacal laughter. And Baku's like, okay, I guess, this is working. And Kirishima's like, we can't give her those demands. And Naos says, yes, but that's a high priority civilian in there. And they go, how high? And he goes, and he cuts the act for a second, and he goes, in this situation, we are pretending that All Might is the prime minister. And they all go like, wait, what do you mean he's the prime minister in this situation? And he goes, 6 years ago, there was a villain that held the prime minister hostage and had those exact demands. So we are planning on using All Might as prime minister in this one, and she overheard us talking about that. So she's kind of reenacting that scene. And the people who actually took this villain down were two hardening quirked heroes. So you have a lot riding on your shoulders. And he taps their shoulders and gets back into character and goes, these demands are too outrageous. We can't give it to them. And Kirishima's like, what? And now Moss is trying his hardest to keep calm and not laugh at Kirishima's gaping fish face. And Shoji walks up and goes, and he acts like a police officer, because there needs to be multiple police officers on the scene. So everybody who's not currently in the exercise as heroes or villains, they are acting as police officers. And Shoji walks up saying, we have given it to the commander-in-chief, and we are getting a call back. And the police chief is good friends with Nezu, so he came and he is helping with this exercise to make to see how the new heroes act and how they handle under such stressful situations. And Kirishima finally gets in character and says, how about this? We give them half now, and the half later, me and him deliver hand in our hands, we give to them. And he hears this and goes, okay. And he radios this back in and says, we have a proposition. We give you half immediately through airdrop. And then the other half, we give hand delivered by heroes. And we take the Prime Minister off your hands. And they go, sure. And he goes, oh God, what is she planning? And she's trying to hold back laughter. Severe laughter. And Bakugo's like, oh crap. They fell right into her trap. So we skip forward like a few minutes because the requests, she added one more thing onto the request. And this was not a normal request. It was a pizza. And a cake from a specific bakery. She added those two to the request from this man and from this list that she had memorized from this incident. And Izumi knew that this was going to happen, so she showed up at UA. And she rang the bell and the buzzer, and Nezu came to the door saying, Miss Midoriya. And she goes, stop calling me that. And he goes, oh, sorry, Izumi, what can I do for you? And she goes, I got 2 deliveries, one for you. And she hands him the box of tea and little cakes that he eats while he's eating tea, or drinking tea, eating tea. How the hell do you eat tea? And she goes, I got a delivery. Apparently there's a hostage situation and I'm here to deliver a package. And he's like, oh God. And he goes, yes, right this way. And he gets a golf cart and he goes, would you like me to hold that for you while you drive? And she goes, yes, please. And if you touch it, you get a level 15 punishment. Because this one is special order. And he goes, oh, okay. What level? And she goes, negative 14. And he goes, what? And she goes, yeah. This person really loved my negative 15 challenge, so she special ordered a negative 14 because I would only do a negative 14 special order, not a negative 15 special order, because that's the challenge. And he goes, question. And she goes, yes. Is the same person that ordered this the one that's currently the villain? And she goes, apparently, I think she said she was a villain. It was just immediate text. And I was happy to do it. I like her. And he goes, is her name Azure? And she goes, yeah, you know her? And he goes, yes, she's currently a student in class 1A. And she's training to be a hero. And she goes, oh, really? I thought she was in 1B. She looked like she had a very severe mutation and she may have had an anger issue in the past. And he goes, you have a very good judge of character. She goes, I try. So she gets to the fake city and she gives the cake to the officer and says, officer, I have the request from the bakery. Here you go. And she literally hands him a cake. And he goes, oh my God, she actually brought a cake. And he well, my dad's whining about something. And he goes, quick break, hey, Azure? And she goes, yes, officer? And he goes, did you actually order a cake from the bakery? And she goes, maybe. He goes, Jesus Christ. And Aizawa was currently in the back because he's just overseeing this thing, what would happen. And he's laughing his ass off. He's having fun. And Azure just starts thinking, I want the cake. You could have the hostage if I just get the cake. And he's like, we could do that. How'd you like it? She goes, I'll hand deliver the hostage. And she holds him out the window saying, here you go. And she drops him, and Kirishima runs over and catches him. And she goes, now throw up the cake. And he goes, I don't think he'll survive the throw. And she goes, just do it. And he goes, fine. And he throws the cake at full strength, and Bakugo flies down, catches it, and flies back up and says, here's your cake. And she goes, yes. And she starts eating it immediately. She pulls out a fork and knife and starts eating it. And all they hear is nom nom nom. Nom nom nom. After every bite. So she eats the cake, and she's finished. She goes, I'll turn myself in now. And so she walks down and goes, that was easy. That was fun. And Izumi starts talking with her. She starts talking with Izumi, and they get along like it's ice and water. They get along like ice and water. If that makes any sense to you guys. So, what else? So I skip a few months, and it's now the USJ. There's not gonna be a sports festival in this one. Well, she can't participate in the sports festival. And it's the USJ, and she walks in and goes, is there supposed to be people here? And Aizawa goes, yeah, 13 only. And she goes, there's more than one person here. And he goes, what do you mean? And she goes, remember when you did that sense training for me and Bakugo? And he goes, yeah, and you surpassed me in sensing things. And she goes, yeah. There's like 40 people in there. And he walks to the door and says, 13, come here real quick. And 13 walks out and goes, yes. And he goes, Azure feels it. And she goes, what? And he goes, the USJ has been compromised. We need to leave. And she goes, okay, but give me a second. So she opens a little hatch and presses a few buttons, and the entire USJ goes on a lockdown. And Azure was like, oh, hell no! And she books it in. And she goes, this is about to be fun. And she sees somebody that she hasn't seen in forever. And she goes, hey, Mr. Compress. Thank you for hypnotizing me. And he goes, oh, it was my pleasure. Why are you here? And she goes, I'm a student at UA. And why are you here? And he goes, I'm a vigilante. And she goes, I'll need your help. And he goes, what would you like my help with? And she goes, there's about to be a lot of villains coming through a portal. Can you capture them when I knock them out? And he goes, sure. And she goes, thank you. And he goes, no problem. And he just waits at the stairs, and she's in front of him, and she goes, can you punch me? And he goes, why? And she goes, can you just punch me really, really hard in the face? And he goes, sure. So he cocks back his arm, and he's not very strong physically, so he punches her in the face, and it boosts her up quite a bit because she can absorb all kinetic energy, and the physical stop of a punch is kinetic energy. So she absorbed all of that energy and boosted it, and she's like, thank you, and now I shall go beat up some villains. And she walks into the center of the area, and she starts cracking her knuckles again. And she goes, so which one of you pipsqueaks wants to fight? And her grin gets wide. And they all go, so a little girl is coming to fight us. And she goes, first off, most of y'all are shorter than me. And second off, I'm stronger than you. I could beat All Might. And they all look at her and go, yeah, nah. A 6-armed freak like you can't beat All Might. And her hearing freak makes her just a tiny bit angry because it brings back all the memories of the hatred, the abuse from other people, the mental torture from being called a freak, being told that not even their parents loved them. That's why they just effing died. And all this came back to her, and she starts to cry. And Mr. Compress sees this and goes, oh, crap. And he pulls up his phone and he calls Aizawa saying, I'm needing an evac. I'm in the USJ. And Aizawa goes, how the hell are you in the USJ? And he goes, I'm a part-time vigilante. I kind of knock villains out by making them hit themselves and then kind of put them in a marble, then release them at the precinct. So I kind of don't really hurt them. They hurt themselves. So, and he goes, so you're technically not a vigilante, you're a cleaner. And he goes, yeah, kind of. And he goes, okay, I'm going to try to get in as fast as I possibly can because Azure is in there. And he goes, yeah, I need an evac from her because she's crying. And he hears crying and he goes, oh, crap. Shoji, Hagakure, Bakugo, Mina, get the hell over here. And they go, yes, sir. And he goes, she's crying. And they pale at this. And Bakugo goes, what? A little. And he knows that if she feels strong enough emotions, she will show her emotions and it can affect her quirk. Severely affect her quirk. And normally her eyes glow white or red. They're glowing blue. At this point, and they get to the door and they try pulling it open and nothing happens. And all they hear is people getting the shit beat out of them. So they finally get in and they see a mountain of marbles at the front door. Mr. Compress hiding behind the marbles and her just beating the shit out of a monster. A few minutes earlier with Azura, she starts crying. And her eyes start to glow a little blue, and one of the villains are like, oh, look at a little girl, she's crying. And all the rest of them are like, all laughing and making fun of her, and the tears start flowing even harder. If they knew what button they just pressed, they would be running. Mr. Compress like, whoa, I suggest you guys stop before you die. And he's panicking. They could see his face, and they see he's panicking, and they're like, what is this 6-armed freak gonna do? Punch us 6 times in a row? And cock her arms back and punch us again? And he goes, no. Her quirk is elevating, and they go, what? Her 6-arm mutation quirk? And he goes, no. Her kinetic energy absorption quirk. And they go, what? And he goes, yeah, that's why you saw me punch her. And they go, oh, so that little tiny tap that you gave her, you call a punch? And he goes, no. What she's about to do to you, I call a punch. And all of a sudden, she disappears. They see an after image of eyes. Blue eyes. in that spot, and they're like, what just happened? And he goes, her arm's gonna explode in 3, 2, 1. And 15 criminals have been completely shattered. Their spines have been completely shattered. Their ribs have been completely shattered just by punching them. And they see a red mist show up out of nowhere. And like, what the hell just happened? And he goes, crap, she's going a lot faster than I thought. So the next one would be in 5, 4, 3. And it blows up at 3. And he goes, crap, she's escalating. And he is now panicking. And he goes by to every single one of the villains that are currently knocked out. And he puts them in a marble. And he has the same ideals as Stain. So he helps with the control of villains and the control of heroes that don't do heroic things. So he is currently trying to keep her calm, and he walked in front of where she originally was and says, please calm down. And she appeared in front of him, and she asks, am I a freak? And she's bawling at this point. And he goes, no, you're just misunderstood. Please, just calm down. And your friends are about to be here. And she asks, are they freaks too for being near me? And he goes, no. You're all beautiful people. And Kuragiri sees this and goes, well, damn. She's like Shigaraki. And Shigaraki sees this and is like, no, you cheated. And he is freaking out. And he goes, Kuragiri, bring out the Nomu. And Kuragiri brings out a 4-armed Nomu who has a quirk similar to kinetic absorption, but it has potential energy store. So the more movement the Nomu does, the more energy it stores, and the faster it boosts its strength. So she sees this, and she only has 5 arms. No, she only has 4 arms. And she sees this creature and is like, is that a monster? And she sees this and goes, if that is, I'm gonna have to do it. And he goes, please don't. That's for your own good. Please don't. And she goes, I can't hold back anymore. And she closes her eyes and the tears stop flowing. And all the anger management that she's had in the past, the hypnosis, everything. He's like, fine, you can say it. And she goes, dark side. And her body starts glowing red. Not the red of fury, the red of hatred. And absolute disgust for other living creatures. So we go to All Might getting a text from Aizawa saying, get to USJ now. And another text going to Nezu saying, Beast released. And that's all it said. And Nezu going, oh crap. And he calls up Recovery Girl and says, we're going to need that tranquilizer. It will work on All Might. And she goes, the one that works on All Might doesn't work on her anymore. And he goes, what? She goes, yeah. Apparently she's gotten used to it. I made one that's stronger though. It could put All Might out with just tapping him with the tip. And he goes, okay, bring as strong a tranquilizer as you can. And he calls Ingenium. And he says, we need your help. You're the only one who could keep up with her speed at this point, if she hasn't gone dark side. And he goes, okay, is it Azure? And he goes, yeah. He goes, oh crap. And he runs to UA, and it takes him like a minute to run to UA from Hosu because he's that fast in this one. And he stops in front of Recovery Girl's office and says, I'm here to pick up the package. And she goes, yes. All you have to do is give this to her. And he sees this little candy bar, and he goes, what is this? And she goes, it's her favorite chocolate from the bakery. It's infused with knockout serum. So once she eats it, she gets put out like a light. And he goes, okay. And he runs to the USJ as fast as possible, getting there within like 30 seconds. And he says to one of them, give this to her. And Genium's completely ignoring the other class, including his little brother. And Ida's like, oh, hey bro, what are you doing here? And he's just completely ignoring him. And he's like, okay. And Ingenium sees Aizawa, and he starts panicking, being like, Aizawa, you need to get in there. And he goes, I can't get in there. Oh, my data. Oh god. I'll be right back. Okay, so we go back to her, and she's just said dark side, and this overwhelming pressure washes over the villains, including the monster. And Shigaraki goes, Nomu, kill her. And the Nomu's not moving. And you know how it's unhealthy to fill up a glass and just keep filling it, including after it's been filled to the max? Well, that's basically what her hatred has done. Whenever she says dark side, it starts filling the glass up again. It allows her to feel hatred, it allows her to feel anger, and it allows her to not feel joy anymore. So she thinks everybody's out to get her. Everybody calls her a freak, including the people that she trusts the most. She goes, they're not trustworthy, except for one person. And I'm not going to bring out that person yet. But she thinks they're all out to get her. Maybe even him if he does stuff. And she's thinking of all his negative energy, and her power goes from being 5 times All Might to 500 times All Might. And she is walking at this point. And each step is releasing so much pressure that the ground is cracking underneath her. And she walks up to the Nomu, and she looks up at it and goes, are you human? Hold on. Ow. And she asked it if it was human, and she screeched at her in fear. And she goes, I'll take that as a no. And she uses her fist, one of them, and punches through it. When it collides with the Nomu, it shatters. And she was 1,500 times the normal base strength. Now she's 3 million times the normal base strength, and it just grows exponentially after that. And it starts regenerating. Its whole entire torso was blown off. Its head was just rolling on the ground, and it starts regenerating its torso. And she goes, oh, so you want to play it that way. And she unleashes another full power hit. So she used her bottom left and bottom right arms were first blown off. Then she used her bottom right arm, which just got blown off. Now she's using her bottom left arm. And it's now getting blown off. And she punches it, and it splatters everywhere, and it got blown off. And so she's walking towards Kurogiri to attack Kurogiri. And she pulls back her left arm, and she throws a full power punch. And this punch, he just barely saw it coming, so he opened up a portal. And this punch didn't just land on something, it landed on her. So her power did a feedback loop. And she went from 600 million% to 6 quadrillion% increase. You could see the big feedback loop it just did. And her arm is throbbing in pain. And she pulls back her arm and she throws it as fast as possible, ripping it off and making it explode into fine powder or fine mist of blood. But it went through Kurogiri's portal. Instead of passing through and showing up on the other side of the portal, it went through his portal. So her hand went straight through the portal and hit him. And she aimed straight for his face. So she blew his face off. Literally blowing his head off with one punch. And her arm's gone. And she goes, damn, that hurts. And she looks at Shigaraki, and she's pretty much out of energy, and she goes, run while you still can, asshole. And he goes, damn freak. And he looks around and sees Kurogiri's dead. Absolutely destroyed on the ground. And he goes, oh crap, my escape plan. And all of a sudden something grabs him and he disappears. And she goes, damn monsters. There's more of them. And all of a sudden someone walks in front of her and he looks sad. And she sees him looking sad and he asks, where's Azure? And she goes, I'm right here, asshole. And he goes, no, that's not Azure. And he starts crying. Because he just saw the love of his life kill something. The person that doesn't like taking life or even hurting people kill something. And she sees this and she calms down. And he goes, I want my Azure back. And that's the key word for the hypnosis to kick back in. Is her saying dark side, and she knows the code word, and it only works if she says it. And the one person she trusts the most, and this person knows who he is, saying, I want my Azure back. In a sad tone, and he must be crying for it to work. And he made this so obscure that dark side must be said alone without any words in the last 30 seconds and without any words the next 30 seconds for it to activate. And they must be calming her down already for I want my Azure back to work. And she starts to cry, being like, what the hell have I just done? And she falls to her knees and he goes, it will be all okay. Just here. And he hands her a chocolate bar. And this is unsweetened dark chocolate with the sleeping medicine in it. And she goes, but but I haven't earned this. And he goes, just take it. You need it. So she eats it, and she eats the whole thing. And it's not that big of a chocolate bar. It's maybe 4 centimeters by 4 centimeters, or 2 inches by 2 inches for some Americans. And she eats it in one bite, and she swallows it and passes out. And he catches her and goes, I really don't like doing that. And Aizawa goes, compress, you can come out now. And he goes, yes, sir. And he steps out and going, yes. And he goes, why are you on UA campus? And he goes, I heard from my sources that there'd be a villain attack. So I wanted to help clean up the villains. So if someone like Azure was in your class, I could take the villains out of harm's way and make sure that they wouldn't get hurt from dangerous quirks. And 13, hearing this, she asks, what's your quirk? And he goes, my quirk is the ability to put things into marbles. And he brings out a marble and says, this is the leader and the little minion that he had. Touch him. And she goes, but he just disappeared. And he goes, yeah, that's because I touched him and the little minion that he had that was about to teleport him away. But since I do some sleight of hand every once in a while, and he flipped his palm down and flipped it back up, and the marble was gone. And then he opened his mouth and they saw the marble, and he goes, my sleight of hand is overpowered, especially when I'm trying to protect something. And he opens his jacket and he shows a giant rack of marbles. And he goes that my jacket is my support item, and I wish to become part of the hero society, but I don't wish to become a hero. And they go, what do you mean? And he goes, I wish to be a vigilante fighting for true justice instead of fighting for a paycheck. And they go, we can help you do that if you become a hero and have a hero license. And he goes, I don't want a hero license. I don't need one. And they go, legally, what you're doing is wrong right this second. We'll overlook it because you just hid them from her enormous power. And she's currently knocked out, and Ingenium walks in saying, is it okay for me to come in and take the package to the drop-off? And he goes, you could say Azure to recover, girl, okay? And he goes, I know, but it's hard to get out of work mode, especially since I'm on call right now. And he goes, yeah, I understand. Yeah, go right ahead. And he goes, okay. So he picks up Azure and uses the little handcuffs that he got. They're not heavy handcuffs. They're not hard handcuffs. They're just like zip ties to help keep her on his back. Well, since she has no arms, he had to improvise and attach quite a few to him and her, so she could stay on his back. And she wakes up while she's on his back, and she goes, why? Why did I do that? And she starts crying, being all sad, and he goes, sometimes heroes do what they regret. And sometimes heroes have to make the tough decision of doing stuff that will make them hurt in the future. That's all what a true hero is about. Making those hard, tough decisions to protect the greater good. And she goes, I know. And she cries and cries and cries and then cries herself to sleep. And Bakugo runs into Naomasa's car when he gets up and says, can you please take me to Recovery Girl? And he goes, sure thing. Is she there? And he goes, yes. And he goes, okay, I have questions for her. And he goes, she's probably awake too. That wasn't very much sedative. And he goes, okay, let's go. And he peels out of the little parking or roundabout that they have, and he goes onto the radio saying, all cops be advised that all current villains and Fugitives at the USJ are currently being held by a vigilante, and this vigilante will help us and is going to go for a hero license later from the recommendation of Aizawa, or Eraserhead, as he's well known as. So if you see the man named Mr. Compress, do not attack and refrain from insulting him because he has a very strong quirk for what it does. And he turns off the radio and he goes, "So, what happened?" And he goes, "Well, she said that she sensed people in the USJ and I'm going to need to look at that. Ooh, hey, Phaser. Oh, and I'm answering your question live on recording. Yes. Yes, I do. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to end this one soon because I just had the COVID vaccine shot and my nose is stuffed up. So, that's the only side effect I've had so far. So, hopefully I don't get any more. And I'll definitely be doing the Q&A tomorrow. And I'm probably just going to be doing it in my room. So, yeah. Let's get back to the story. And they get to the recovery girl, and he walks. Bakugo runs out of Naomasa's car, and Naomasa's like, "Oh crap!" And he gets out of his car, locks the car, walks into recovery girl's office after a good minute walk, and he gets in there and he sees that Bakugo is gripping her hand, worried because she's already regrown one arm, and he's gripping her main dominant hand worriedly. And he goes, "So." And Baka goes, "If you say any of this to Mina, I will blow you up." And he gives a death stare to Naomasa. And he goes, "Is that a threat against a cop?" And he goes, "No. That's a threat against a witness to this right here." And he goes, "Plus one respect. Plus one to respect." And Baka goes, "I don't give a damn. You say anything, I blow you up. Keep your mouth shut. This never happened." And now Masa goes, "Okay. On one condition." He goes, "What?" And he goes, "Tell your mom I'm showing up tonight." And he goes, "The hell?" And now Masa goes, "What? We've been dating for a while." And he goes, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, ever since you were a problem child, I've been dating your mother because of that divorce paper that she's signing." And he goes, "Wait, divorce papers?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, um, your father's tired of you, and he's tired of your friends, so he's leaving." And Bakugo goes, "What?" And Namasa goes, "Yeah, she should have told you. Forget what I just said." And he goes, "Duly noted." "I won't tell her you told me here if you don't tell Mina about this." And he goes, "Agreed." And they have like a little silent agreement that they say nothing about what just happened. And so Bakugo is there all night, and including the morning, and she still hasn't woken up. But she has all six of her arms, and she has been cuffed to the bed just to keep herself safe. Because if she tosses and turns, she has a chance of activating her quirk. And she has a specialized bed that keeps her dangling from the ceiling. And it's not the, "Oh, I'm dangling from my feet." No, it's I'm dangling from a harness that keeps me locked to the ceiling. Not a normal bed. The only time that she doesn't do this is when she's cuddling with Bakugo. So I'm gonna end it there. Cliffhanger and plot twist. Yeah. Talk to you guys later.